Communication is key in marriage, and it's important to make sure it's a healthy part of your relationship. Psychotherapist Sharon Lawrence literally wrote the book on it, 7 Simple Ways to Shape Your Marriage, and is here to talk about communication. Hello.
Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for having me again.
We're excited to have you back. This is a great topic for married couples, probably just anyone in a relationship. And you say it really requires intentionality when it comes to communication and connection.
Absolutely. The only way to really shape your relationship and really hone in on communication is one that you have to understand that communication is the main component needed for a successful relationship. That's how you're going to feel alive in your relationship. That's how you're going to feel safe. It's important that you have realistic expectations, and that you're really mindful that that intentionality piece is what's going to kind of prevent that level of distance that can set in if you're not careful.
And so this really creates the cornerstone. How do we make sure that happens?
That cornerstone is like that keystone. Again, the intentionality piece. Make time for one another to have those discussions. When you say, okay, 15 minutes a day, once a week, all of that is important, because if you don't make time for one another, you're only going to communicate when there's an issue. And that's a bigger issue, right? But if you make time, it creates safety for you.
And when you say that, make time, is it really you can just do 15 minutes? And do you have to have a topic in mind? Is this more than just like, hey, how was your day?
It can be, how was your day? How are you feeling? How can I help you? Let me give you a kiss, a hug. I just needed to connect with you. It doesn't even have to specifically be words. It can be a matter of just being in one another's presence and kind of just reconnecting. I think that one of the bigger issues is that some couples are so caught up in technology sometimes that they're not actually talking to one another until there is a problem.
So put the phone down, the TV off. And you say healthy communication means embracing comfort in conflict. What does that mean?
I'm going to hold this up. When you think about a Rubik's Cube, this is a problem solver, right? People who love problem solving, they love things like this. Understand that you're not the enemy of one another. You're looking to solve the problem together. And so use I statements. Make sure you're validating one another. Make sure that you're in a position that you are listening to understand and not just respond, because the ultimate goal is that you come back together and that you actually can solve the problem together, right? And you feel like you're a part of the team. But if you're aggressive in nature, what ends up happening is that you end up thinking that one another is the issue versus the issue that really is at hand. And so communicating effectively really does help you create a team with one another, respect one another. It increases intimacy, all of that. It changes everything when you're intentional.
What a great illustration. Did you just solve that Rubik's Cube while you were answering that question?
I did. But there's a trick to that, and I can't tell you what I did.
That's impressive. Okay, well, communication, you also say, is the path towards increased safety and intimacy, like you just mentioned. Why is that important for marriage? And I would even say probably, when you were talking about that, I thought this could relate to a lot of different relationships.
Absolutely. We're talking about friendships, partnerships, marriages. When you create something as the cornerstone or the keystone, you're talking about habit formation. You're talking about the ability to put that other person as a valuable component in your life. And when you see them as someone who's important and you're intentional about it, you invest time to be able to see them in their most vulnerable state. That eye contact that you have, that creates safety and trust in your connection with them. That's why I often tell people, go sit with them. Don't send a text message. Have a conversation, because you want them to feel that they're really heard and that you're connected to them and that you actually love them, right? You value that connection. And so when we talk about intimacy, no one wants to be intimate with someone who is mean and nasty, right? Someone who communicates effectively, that can actually be a turn on in a relationship. So listen to your partner. Let them know you see them. Let your friends know you see them. That's also a form of intimacy, not in a sexy way, you all, but it allows them to feel closer to one another. So be intentional, and realize that it's not just always about you. Be willing to create a level of partnership with the people that you love.
Great advice. Thank you so much for zooming in today.
Thank you for having me again.